Welcome back to Talking About the Taboo. You know who, Natalie Malloy. I am really tired today, guys. My back hurts. My body is just like shutting down. I feel like I'm always at the desk, I'm typing and I'm always sitting and I feel like my ass is getting more flat. I'm a little sore. I'm starting to feel what it's like to be old, and I'm only 23. So that's super concerning. But today is a episode about a book that I just finished reading. This is Empathy in Action. Welcome to Empathy in Action. I read a book. It is Nonviolent Communication: A Language of Life, and it is by B.Rosenberg. And those who are not watching, it is a beautiful book that I am showing that I will pin up here. So this specific book is actually me jumping the gun on my sex coaching certification that I'm starting in April of next year. And I'm just trying to, when I read the book, I want to read the book. I want to annotate the book. I mean, I have multiple tabs in this book because I wanted to really understand nonviolent communication. Like, what does this really mean as a deeper look, like, right, like, don't talk violently, like, what does that mean, and this book really does dive so deep into the depths that nonviolent communication assists and really hurts our relationships romantically, based off of a couple of main topics. These main topics include the difference between observations and evaluations, honest expression, sharing feelings and needs without blame, the role of empathy in conflict resolution, and practical applications of nonviolent communication principles. It's an amazing book. It's an amazing book, and Rosenberg, the main issue addressed is the nonviolent communication, right? So Rosenberg has a way of communicating with people, and these words come from her wisdom. Okay. And she says that, how we communicate with people often leads to misunderstandings, conflicts, and emotional pain. This book focuses on transforming communication patterns to foster empathy, understanding, and compassion. It emphasizes the importance of expressing oneself honestly, clearly, and listening to others with empathy. By doing so, it aims to improve relationships and resolve conflicts more effectively. How beautiful. Now, you have to, in my opinion, have a deeper mindset to understand this, because it is all perspective shift, and it says a lot of the stuff that you just may not want to hear. So if you want to get challenged today, please stay tuned and listen to find more about it. I bet you'll like a lot of what you're about to hear. All righty. Welcome to Empathy in Action. Like I said, this is going to be a time where we are diving deeper into what nonviolent communication looks like. And I'm specifically going to use examples in relationships because this is a relationship and sex podcast. Duh. But also, you can apply this to your everyday friendships as well, and just resolving conflicts or at work. So that kind of brings me into, like, what is nonviolent communication and where is this type of communication applied? So nonviolent communication, by definition, is a non-habitual but also automatic reactions to awareness of what we are perceiving, feeling, or wanting. And Rosenberg talks about how these are kind of portrayed in observations, feelings, needs, and requests. Observations, feelings, needs, and requests. Observations, feelings, needs, and requests. I don't know, that's just how I remember shit, guys. And this is how I think you guys can also remember it. When you are addressing something, you can, think kind of straight up like observations, feelings, needs, and requests. Observations, feelings, needs, and requests, right? Like, are we observating it? So what are our feelings and what are our needs, and are we requesting it or are we demanding it? So she kind of broke it down into those four kind of categories very deeply, but I'm going to break it down for you. So if you see me looking down at my notes, That is why I broke it down into particular sections, what I took from the book. I took so many notes on this book because I wanted to share it with you all. Because I know some of you are not going to sit down and read this book word from word like I did. But I'm trying to educate myself. I want to know this stuff. I love learning. So the initial um part she talks about is where this can be applied. Okay, so she used multiple examples. She states this could be in intimate relationships, families, schools, organizations and institutions, therapy, business, negotiations, disputes, and conflict of any nature. You know what? And now that I'm reading it, I don't know if this author is a female or a male, and that is bad on my part. So we're just going to say the author and try not to say pronouns because I don't know who wrote this, but whoever wrote it, more power to you. So the book really breaks this down, like I said, into observations, feelings, needs, and requests. Observations, feelings, needs, and requests. So first he talks about the difference between observations and evaluations. So Rosenberg emphasizes that observations are concrete actions we see or hear. Okay. While evaluations are our interpretations or judgments of those actions. So, this is, for example, you never help with the dishes. That's an evaluation. An observation would be, I noticed you didn't help with the dishes last night. So, that distinction between that really, really helps communicate more clearly and avoid misunderstandings, okay? Because we have we have to discuss the difference between those, but then we have to move on to like, are you actually giving your full, honest expression? Are you expressing it honestly? So Rosenberg suggests expressing ourselves honestly involves sharing our feelings and needs without blame or criticism. Criticism. Do you find yourself criticizing your partner because they didn't do the dishes? Oh my God, are you fucking stupid? You didn't do the dishes. I literally asked you that yesterday. That is that's an insulting observation, okay, with judgments. And those are interpretations of the situation. Those are unmet feelings in those words that we have not been able to break down. And this type of communication blocks our compassion. It blocks our empathy. Okay. So we are basically needing to analyze others' expressions of their own needs and values. So our attention is focused on classifying and analyzing and determining levels of wrongness. So you think that your partner not doing the dishes, he's wrong, he's stupid. You just told him he's not listening to you. These are judgments. These are not observations. These are your feelings by expressing and expressing a very awful evaluation of them. You're evaluating them. Now, if you're anything like me, you look deep into everything. And so, him not listening to you today means that like down the line, he's never ever going to listen to you and everything you ever ask him to do, you're just gonna have to ask him a million different times to do it and blah, 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 blah. Like you go far down the line. I need to catch myself doing that because this is me evaluating him. I'm evaluating my partner. And that's not something that I want to do because then in return, you know what that does? That makes them feel judged. And the last thing I want to do is to make my partner feel like he cannot be himself, in which I find myself doing sometimes. But that's what relationships are for, right? We're learning. We're learning how to non-violently communicate. And that's what you're here for. You're here to help your relationships. You're here to help your connections. And that's what I'm here for. So like I said, we're focused on classifying wrongness rather than what's the need or what's missing. So for example, if your partner she wants more attention, okay? He or she is needy or dependent. But if I want more affection than they are giving, they are insensitive, but what do they really need? So, oh my God, I need more affection. Like this. So I'm trying to like explain this the best way possible. So a partner comes in and says like, "I want to be touched more. I feel like you're not being romantic and yada yada yada." If the other person wants affection too, then they're being insensitive. So this is where we have to, look at the fact that we are still going to judge no matter what. As human beings, we judge, okay? We do. We do judge in our words. We are very harsh in our words, and we have to distinguish between the difference between value judgments and moralistic judgments. So value judgments are the questions, they're the qualities that we value in life. So honesty, freedom, peace. A moralistic judgment is based on our morals, but also based on our failed met value judgment. An example of this: violence is bad. People who kill others are evil. If raised with compassion, needs, and the values are directly being presented, it would sound like this: I am fearful of the use of violence to resolve conflict. I value resolution of a human conflict through other means. Let's break this down into a relationship aspect. Back to the affection. I am worried with your lack of affection to me lately. I really value that type of intimacy, and that's my love language. And I would really appreciate it if you tried maybe working on more affection. That is expressing that you have compassion and you're not judging them for it. You're recognizing that relationship needs work, and you are expressing a need. You need more affection. That is how you can probably do that. Properly do that. Because otherwise, you're coming across, as this book explains, as judging, as harsh, and as you're so on top of their ass. And if they feel judged, they're not going to change the behavior. They're going to willow away in their shell. And again, not something you want to happen when you're trying to practice nonviolent communication. So when I also talk about the honest expression, right? We really want to share our feelings and needs without blame. Don't play the blame game. Okay. This is an explanation of, where you're trying to like criticize them. Like I had mentioned before, oh my God, you didn't do the dishes. You're insane. You're not listening. Oh, and on top of that, you're this and this and this, and you didn't do this and you didn't do that and you didn't do this. That's criticizing. That's not coming across with your value judgments and your moralistic judgments, and you're not using nonviolent communication. So, um, expressing these feelings clearly without criticism is an example of this. So instead, you make me so angry when you are late. You can say, I feel frustrated when meetings start late because I need to make the most out of our time together. This is building trust and understanding. So revert this into a relationship. So we can literally use the same example that the book gave that I just explained. You make me so angry when you're late. This just happened the other day. The other day, my boyfriend was we're kind of lollygagging throughout the day, and Sunday was Canadian Thanksgiving. And we had all day. I started getting ready. I made chili at 10 o'clock in the morning. That had to cook for 6 hours. I planned. And I was ready at 4 o'clock where I wanted to leave the house. He specifically asked me, when do you want to leave the house? I said 4 o'clock. He knew the plan. 5 minutes at 3:55, I was like, Trevor, he ran out of his room and he wasn't even ready, guys. That immediately sparked, oh my God, an aggravation, okay? And I unfortunately did not use violent communication, I think, in the best way that I possibly could. And I love that I'm actively trying to learn this because I actively need to use it. So please know, guys, I'm a real human being and I ain't a saint. Okay. I've got a lot to learn. So this takes time. All right. And I didn't organize this until after that. LOL. But no. So instead of saying it makes me really angry when you're late, I longevity wanted to say to him that I feel like my time is not respected when you try to get ready 5 minutes before that time. So I did eventually say, like, you're not respecting my time. And I could have said, I realized that you wanted to relax today and, you're on your own wavelength here and you may have lost track of time. But you getting ready 5 minutes before we had to leave made me feel like you were not respecting my time. And I wanted to hear what you had to think about that. So that is a more calmer way. You know how hard it is to like be calm in an argument? Because it's not an argument, but be calm in a nonviolent conversation. It is so hard because he pissed me off. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I got ready literally started the day at 10 a.m., getting that chili ready, making sure that everything else was done around the house. I did like little errands around the house type of thing. And he got to just get dressed 5 minutes before. I was all dolled up, had makeup, lipstick on, and everything. I was just like, I felt like my time was not respected. And now he knows that. I expressed that, but I kind of lingered it on. I did not use my value judgments or moralistic judgments. And I just kind of went on and on and on, and I couldn't close it out. I couldn't just stop there. I had to judge, and criticize. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And that's where I went wrong. But I'm learning, as we all are. That's why, again, you're watching this. So you have to be able to, observe without that evaluation. Okay. Don't compare or attribute responsibility outside of you. So, example, a vague impersonal forces. I cleaned my room because I had to. Example again, our condition or diagnosis history. I drink because I'm an alcoholic. Replace language that has lack of choice. Don't say that, so don't say that, I drink because I'm an alcoholic. No, I drink because I want to drink. And that in the longevity could cause me issues. Don't make excuses by, having the responsibility outside of you. And also demanding things, that what result does that get you? Where does that get you? Because if you want change, they will only listen if the demand shows benefit for them to change. So in this book, it's such a good book, guys. I hope all of this explanation is making sense to you. But I'm going to open up to page 25 here. And there's a poem that the writer put in here by themselves. Okay, it says, observating without evaluating, right? I can handle you telling me what I did or didn't do. And I can handle your interpretations, but please don't mix the two. You want to confuse any issue, I can tell you how to do it. Mix together what I do with how you react to it. Tell me that you're disappointed with the unfinished chores you see, but calling me irresponsible is no way to motivate me. And tell me that you're feeling hurt when I say no to your advances, but calling me a frigid man won't increase your future chances. Yes, I can handle your telling me what I did or didn't do, and I can handle your interpretations, but please don't mix the two. Wow. I mean, wow. And now that I'm really reading this, I think I for sure know it is a male author. Wow. I can handle you telling me what I did or didn't do, and I can handle your interpretations, but please don't mix the two. So, he did not respect my time. Does that make him stupid? No. That's my interpretation. But my interpretation too is him not respecting my time. Did he actually intentively try to disrespect my time? Absolutely not. That was my interpretation of it. That was my evaluation of it. And my criticism was that he was disrespectful. Right? So I even the way I just reworded it, I could reword again. And that's what the saying think before you say really means, guys. That's exactly what that means. Is you really have to dig deep when you are talking about these types of topics, because we could easily say one wrong thing. And that's not to say like you guys have to walk on eggshells or anything. I'm not asking that. I'm just saying, why don't you give nonviolent thoughts a try? Before you say something, bite your tongue and think, am I evaluating it? Is this an observation? Do I have a feeling? Do I have a need that's not being met? Think deeply into it. My need that was not being met was him not giving me the attention that I wanted in that moment. And the attention was, my time, paying attention to my time. I needed that detail to the time to be respected. And it wasn't. He didn't intentionally do it, but it did happen. And we talked about it. And the behavior um, should be fixed, right? Like we talked about it. There's many times that like I've been so critical and he's just like, Natalie, you're criticizing me. This isn't helping me. Like I'm not stupid. And I realize like you're doing that, Natalie. That's no way to motivate him. Don't call him, frigid and unworthy. I think the poet said that. But like, don't call him that because he's not unworthy. He's learning as you are. And when you start to think of your partner as an equal instead as you above them, watch your perspective change entirely. Did he forget something? Did he forget to close the window when you asked him to do it hours ago? Probably. Did he intentively try to forget that? No, but he's an equal because guess what you did? You forgot your keys in your car and you had to get the cops called the other day. That's not true, but I've done that before. But you get the point. Think of your partner as an equal, not like you're above them. And think of them at the same level as you of I'm still learning how to communicate and that's okay. And then if your partner wants to stick around when you're learning, go them because they have patience and they have empathy in action. They're thinking about it. So when you express your feelings, you know, make sure that they come across in the best way that you possibly can, right? Because our feelings I feel so deeply, and I say that with I stutter a little bit because like, ooh, I feel so deeply. How am I going to do this? I'm still working actively on how to express my feelings. So instead of saying like, you never listen to me, you could say, I feel frustrated when I don't feel heard in our conversations. You feel frustrated when you're not feeling heard instead of you never listen to me, because that's not the case. It's not that he never listens to me. It's that I am feeling frustrated when I don't feel heard. I don't feel heard. It's not that you are not hearing me. Remember, that's blame. Blame, 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 blame. No, I feel frustrated when I don't feel heard in our conversations. And then you have to express a need. So instead of saying you should spend more time with me, you could say, I need more quality time together to feel connected. That's a need. You need more quality time together to feel connected. You are outwardly judging the situation and evaluating the situation by saying, you should spend more time with me. That in response, he might say like, well, I do spend, what does more time even mean? I do spend time with you. So you need to say quality time. Now, then they can ask in return, what's quality time? And then that deepens the conversation, and you probably will get into love languages, most likely. When you quality time is a love language, you'll go deeper into that. And I have an episode about that as well. And then the third, remember, she said making requests. So instead of saying stop interrupting me, you could say, could you please let me finish before speaking? And then before you respond, can you please help me finish? Oh my gosh, I can't talk, guys. Can you please let me finish speaking before you respond? Now, timing, tone, turf, as Sex with Emily says, right? Careful how you say this one. This one could be definitely interpreted as like you're being sassy. Like you could easily be like, could you please let me finish speaking before you respond? That's rude. But instead of saying, let them finish what they're saying and then go, could you please let me finish speaking before you respond? It's a really lengthy thought and I have to get it out. And then 4, feedback. Providing the feedback. So instead of saying your work is sloppy, say, I noticed some errors in your understanding and I feel concerned for our relationship. So essentially, your work, meaning your effort in this relationship, is sloppy. That's a judgment. That's evaluation. That's not how you express your needs or your feelings. Instead, say, I noticed some errors in your understanding and I feel concerned for our relationship. Now, you guys are probably thinking what I was thinking when I read this book. I'm like, is this author sarcastic? Because if I sat there in real life and calmly in a relationship said, I noticed some errors in your understanding and I feel concerned for our relationship, they look at me like, huh? Because, like, it's such a different language. Nonviolent communication is actually another language to learn. When someone responds with empathy, it's like, what did you just say? I just heard your feelings and your needs, and I didn't feel judged, and I am experiencing what empathy feels like. That's a different language. It's scary that we just don't know how to innately talk like this. And when we do, it feels awkward. It almost feels sarcastic. But no, if they're screaming and yelling at you, the best thing to do is like, what do you mean by that? Honestly, like ask them what they mean by that. And I know it's sarcastic, but it's so true. It's so true. I'm telling you guys. So that was like really like the deep dive that I wanted to do into the book because I mean, it can go so many different avenues, but I won't want to bore you with it. But the things that I want you to remember are, observations, needs, feelings, and requests. Okay, like observations, feelings, needs, request, observations, feelings, needs, request. And really it's really important to understand that, you know, when you're expressing your feelings, you need to be able to reword things that are not judging. When you're expressing your needs, don't judge. When you're making requests, don't make demands. And when you're providing feedback, also don't judge. There is a such thing as valued criticism, like, it's ethical criticism, it's constructive criticism, but be careful with your words, especially when it comes to providing feedback. Because if they feel misunderstood, then there's going to be a whole other argument after that. Um, then she goes into also like kind of ending it with the practical applications of nonviolent communication and these like real life scenarios. So tips were given for integrating nonviolent communications in daily interactions and benefits of practicing nonviolent communication in personal and professional relationships, encouragement for listeners to start small and practice regularly. Do you see what I mean with the word practice? So I apologize if I'm kind of reading from this iPad, but these are direct quotes from the book that I thought were very beneficial to hear. She said practice regularly. Remember, this is another language. This is a practice. And she really was able to provide a comprehensive and engaging structure of this book. I was able to compromise. She gave a billion different examples in different circumstances, whether it be relationships, whether it be friends, whether it be work, whether it be, big projects, conflicts of any sort. She brought in, racial things in this situation as well. And I was really intrigued with the change of the mindset. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to like everybody who commits violence. Violence is a bad person. Whoa, perspective switch. She said, no, I'm just worried about how people are trying to resolve conflict. And I value a different interpretation of how to resolve conflict. Like, yeah, maybe they're bad in your eyes. That's your observation. That's your evaluation with judgment. But this author, I keep saying she, and I apologize. This author dived so deep into what personally I was struggling with and who many other people are too. So I'm going to read some Reddit posts um, to get real life examples of actively implying the principles of nonviolent communications. Remember, observations, feelings, requests, and needs. So this one is from subreddit relationships. Boyfriend is inconsiderate and it's making me question everything right off the bat. Judgments, evaluations. Boyfriend is inconsiderate. Let's read. My 24 female boyfriend, 24 male, has shown many examples of being inconsiderate. been together for 3 years, living together for 1, and I don't know when I started noticing his inconsideration, but it's seriously bugging the hell out of me. Last night, I was very obviously reading a book in bed, as I sometimes like to do, and he was coming out of the bathroom. He turned the lights off in our room. Again, I was obviously reading, and he saw this before he went in. So I asked him, "Hey, why'd you turn the light off?" "I'm still reading." He ignored me and went back into the bathroom. He came out again and again. I asked why he turned the light off. He said, "It's time for bed." For context, it was earlier than we normally go to bed. I told him that it wasn't cool, I wasn't done reading, and if he could turn the light back on. To which he replied, "No." He said, "Once you start paying the electric bill, then you can keep it on, but I say it stays off." For even more context, I'm a stay at home mom and he works and pays the bills. So I respond that it was rude to do that and not nice. He could have at least asked me, and he tells me to stop being rude to him and stop yelling. I wasn't yelling, especially since our kid was sleeping and I wasn't being rude. I tell him that, and he brushes me off, saying good night. I turn my phone flashlight on to finish off the last few pages, and then he starts acting all nice, saying, "Please go to sleep and cuddle with me." But I was still annoyed that he did that and he never apologized. And then started saying I was mean and the rude one. Ooh, transfer of blame. Those are him observing, evaluating, and putting the blame outside of himself. It's not just this incident, though. He claims all the time that he gives, and all I do is take and never reciprocate. I find that to be untrue. For someone that doesn't have any income, even if I ask him for money, he makes me tell him what I'm going to buy it with. I feel like I still do decent with being considerate. I always buy him little candies when I go out or send him photos of things that remind me of him. When he's sick, I pick up all the medicine I know, make tea, make meals, wash his stuff and dry it so it's always warm. I look for shows, movies I think he'd enjoy so when he's home, we can try to watch it together. If I see he's running low on something or needs a new pair of whatever, I try to buy it. I make meals that I know he enjoys. I feel like I'm a considerate person. When he does not reciprocate, a majority of that. In the beginning, he was sweet and he would write me cards just because. But after a couple months, I guess he stopped. Also, to add, yes, he pays the bills, but that isn't without me having to remind when certain bills are due, even after I tell him. He won't do it. So it's not until I get a phone call from whatever company that they're going to shut off our electric or water that he decides to pay. And he has the money. I don't understand why he doesn't pay it, but I do remind him, and every month on the same day. I don't get why he can't put a reminder on his phone to pay the bills on time. So I stay at home, raise our kid, keep the home together, clean, cook, organize, etc., arrange all the outings, plan all the trips to visit family, keep in touch with everyone, and it's 24/7. Because even when he gets home, he stays on his phone and in the bathroom like 80% of the time. LOL with the bathroom thing. So I'm still dealing with our child on my own up until bedtime. Again, we had a kid together, so I feel like it makes it hard. I've tried speaking to him about being more considerate, but then he gives me the speech of how much he gives, and never enough when I specifically ask what it is that he gives, not in a rude way, just for clarity. He gets upset that I even ask and says, if you don't see it, then that's sad. So yeah, what do I do? Reddit, help, please, because I don't know if I can see the rest of my life being like this, where I feel like the only person who cares about me seriously is me. Whew. Okay. So what I see in here is her needs not being met. She needs more help. She needs more attention. She needs more consideration. And I think maybe the partner's emotions are also all over the place. He's isolating himself. He's staying in the bathroom 80% of the time. Sometimes I really think that's like a coping mechanism for some people. When they get home, they want to decompress. Work was really hard. And it just doesn't seem like he has a very good work-life balance. And he's focusing maybe more on his work. These are my judgments. These are my evaluations. And, he is definitely passing the blame, and what you're not supposed to do when you're, using nonviolent communication. You want to have honest expression. And I also want to mention for women, because obviously I'm a girl's girl, there are so many, so many invisible things that we do as women. She goes into detail here, uh, she cleans, she cooks, etc. She arranged all the outings, plans all the trips, keeps in touch with everyone, and it's just a 24/7 job. Like, I feel that about the planning. I'm always planning. I'm always scheduling things, making sure we're on time to things. And in that moment earlier this week, when I felt like my time was not respected, that came out in the wrong way because I was upset because I was doing so many invisible things. And, you know, his response to me was that I just assumed you had it all. Him assuming is exactly what I mean by the invisible things that we do as a woman to make it all come together. As much as I love it and I love planning and I love the organizing and having it all work out, it gets really stressful. And I eventually, told him I would really enjoy it, even if you feel like you can't help in the situation, just be like, "Hey, I know you have a party coming up and I'm coming later too. Like, do you have anything that you need to get done for the party that I can help with at all?" If I say no, okay. But offer would be nice. And he got it. And he took that in. And what's best about him is that I have a partner who listens to understand, not listens to just store it away and in one ear and out the other. He really truthfully wants to understand and be better for us. And I truthfully want to understand and be better for us. And we're a team. We work together. We rock it out. And that's the best. And it looks like in this Reddit thread, they're not working together as a team. And that is so hard to hear. Diving into the comments. Person straight up top comment said, "This man does not like you." Okay. As blunt as this comment is, it rings true. I could never imagine treating someone the way he treats me, especially if I claim to love him. And then he has the nerve to tell me that he thinks I hate him and that I'm cheating on him constantly. It's so exhausting because that's all false. So that's the writer responding back to "This man does not like you." So now she's going into really what's going on, more into this relationship, more than the inconsiderateness. Someone comments, "Sadly reminds me so much of my ex. I brought in some income, but a fraction of his, and he still acted this way. For him, it was strictly I didn't do my part by making as much as him and then B being his sex slave." So she basically is saying that I worked. I also did all the stuff at home, and apparently I didn't give him enough sex. So we want to work together as a team in a relationship, and this is not team. This is not team mindset. This is not making sure that everyone's needs are being heard. Hers are, she wants, more help doing things, and she's not expressing that at all. But he's expressing a sense of overwhelmingness and isolation and has probably his own things going on, and he's choosing not to express anything at all. And ignoring and not talking it through is not a way of expressing. So that's the amazing part about learning and listening to this podcast is that we can dive deep into the nitty-gritties. We can dive deep into like the textbook definitions of things, but then we go on Reddit and we see it happen in real life like that. So if you take anything from this episode, I really want you guys to understand that nonviolent communication includes what? It includes what? Everybody repeat with me. Observations, feelings, needs, and requests. Observations, feelings, needs, and requests. Okay? Observations, feelings, needs, and requests. That is nonviolent communication. Observe, don't evaluate. Express your needs, express your feelings. And request, don't demand. But this isn't the end. Stay tuned for the sex toy of the week. Did you like it? Did you listen to understand it? Before I kind of go down into going over what we talked about today, I want to talk about the sex toy. The sex toy is, in fact, not a toy this week. It is a toy cleaner. Those who are watching on YouTube, I know my camera is bad, so I will insert a picture here. Okay, I got this, I believe, on Amazon, and I did check on Amazon, and this is $20 $2. It's about $22. And I know, pricey, what the hell? But it is a foaming toy cleaner called Wicked Foam and Fresh. Playtime can get dirty, but your toy should always stay clean. Foam and Fresh is a healthier alternative to everyday soap and water, antibacterial and alcohol free. This superpowered foam is enhanced with olive leaf, thyme, and lavender extracts, making it safe for all toy materials, yet dangerous to germs. Use every time it's toy time to sanitize, freshen, and protect your intimate investments. This skin safe cleaner is a must have for every toy box. So, I have been using this forever. I have cleaned my toys with this forever. I'm super duper duper sensitive, and this was what came up in my research for it. And I know $22 sounds absurd, but you get what you pay for always. And these toys are going inside of you, and it smells good, and it doesn't leave the toy all weird when you're trying to clean it. It is a foamy consistency. It is great. So if you're using your sexy toys, you better be cleaning them shits. And this is the best because it is for all types of toys, all types of toy materials. So there's every toy has most of the time um like a specific type. I don't know what it's called, but it is something on the toy that's like rigidy. I don't know if that's not latex, possibly latex. But this is a universal toy cleaner. Very worth it. Very, very worth it. So, you guys remember my little anthem from earlier? Observations, feelings, needs, and requests. Observations, feelings, needs, and requests. Keep chanting that. Okay. So, what we discovered today was, that empathy in action is nonviolent communication. And that is not observing with judgments, that's evaluating. Expressing your feelings honestly, using words that align with you expressing your needs, and making sure that you are not requesting, you are making sure that you are not demanding, but instead you are requesting. So, thank you so much for coming along on this journey of empathy and action. I really hope that you gained valuable insights and, into how empathy and honest expression and understanding the difference between observations and evaluations can transform. It can transform your interactions. Remember that practicing these principles can help build stronger and more compassionate relationships, and it can also resolve conflicts more effectively. Please, please, guys, support a girl out. If you found this episode helpful at all and you think that others could benefit from these ideas, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast or follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. I'll link it down below. But help me out. I need your help. But I really, want to let you know until next time, please keep practicing as this is a practice. Practice empathy and honest expression. And, really, really watch how positive this will impact your life and those around you with lots and lots of lube. Clip communicate. I love you guys.